Welcome to the All Ambient Podcast, where we dig into the creative process, hear untold stories, and explore the minds of the brilliant people behind some of the finest ambient music out there. My name is Mike Graff. I make music as Dear Gravity. Welcome to another episode of the All Ambient Roundtable. Really happy to be here with Kirk, with Marshall, with Ben. And to be totally honest, I had a different subject planned for today, and we'll get to that next time. But we started riffing on film scoring and what the combination of just a really well-crafted song put to picture has done for each of us. Just the emotion that comes with that. And then it kind of just grew from there, what it is to write emotionally forward as opposed to a reactive process. It was just a really great time digging into something that we were all clearly really passionate about, as I'm sure many of you who are listening and watching are also very passionate about. So as we're digging into film scoring, we're geeking out a little bit and having a blast doing so. So here we go. Before we get there, make sure you come join All Ambient on Discord if you haven't yet. The link is in the show notes. Great conversations going on there. A lot of different artists, a lot of different musicians, producers, composers connecting, talking about all sorts of things, not the least of which is the podcast conversation on Discord, where we talk about each episode. You can ask additional questions, you can provide feedback, and you can even ask questions for future episodes if you would like. It's a great place to hang and connect with other like-minded folk. Come and join All Ambient on Discord. And also, make sure you go to all-ambient.com. Lots of great releases in the All Ambient family are coming out on streaming and licensing platforms. They're multiplying day by day in the best way. The number of releases that are coming out, any sort of quality in what's being released, quite the opposite. The number of people who are incredible at what they do and who are attached to All Ambient continues to grow. And it is just a great thing. When you head over to All Ambient's website, coming in the near future, you will start seeing some resources that are dropping. We have plans to be rolling them out this year, not in a tease sort of way, but just in a we are actively working on things. We'll be very excited to share them with you when they arrive, and it's going to be great. But that's the place you're going to want to be at. all-ambient.com is the hub for all that. Enough of me blabbing. Let's get right to today's roundtable. All right, friends, we have arrived at another episode of the All Ambient Roundtable. Ben, welcome. Marshall, hello. And Kirk, howdy. I don't know why I landed on howdy. Maybe because you're in Memphis, maybe not. I don't know. But
yep, there you go.
It all worked out. It's really
He's the
good
closest
to see you
to the
guys.
south.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody doing well?
Yeah, we're good.
Doing great,
Yeah,
man.
good.
Yep.
Amazing. Awesome. That's great. Let's start sideways. What is the coolest movie or show that you guys have seen recently? I'm just curious. Maybe I'm looking for something. I don't know.
Love it.
Yeah. What are we into right now?
I just watched Conclave,
Okay.
which was nominated for a few
Mm-hmm.
Oscars. I thought it was a brilliant film, like
Right on.
truly visually stunning, just the cinematography and somehow the scenes were. I also really liked the music as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's few and far between nowadays where, it's not something that you love already for something new to like strike you that way. So
Yeah.
I loved it. Thought it was great.
Well,
Still
that's
trying to
awesome.
make my way through some of the other Oscar films as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
The list is long. Yeah.
Yep.
I hear you. My wife and I used to pay attention to. We tried to keep a tally of how many of the Oscar movies we watched, and went through the AFI top 100 list and all that, and all of that ground to a halt the moment we started having kids. It just because all you're watching at that point, it's just like, Toy Story and Bluey and Coco Melon and all that stuff, and so we're looking. I'm with you. We used to be really good at trying to keep up, and we lost that for sure. Maybe someday, once the kiddos have flown the coop, jump on back.
Yeah. What else? What do you guys got over there?
Having said that, I think the thing that I've watched recently that struck an emotional chord somehow was Paddington 2.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Nice.
It's very strange. I didn't know why I was enjoying it as much as I was. And there was actually this scene where the bear got locked into prison, and then he is asking the chef who's quite mean. He's the head prison chef. He's quite mean. He's asking him if he can help make some food, and the chef reluctantly
It's getting real.
agrees. And he helps transform that entire prison into a group of men who are kind to each other.
The chef he reluctantly agrees.
Yeah, he teaches the chef how to make orange marmalade. And the chef's name is Knuckles, I think. And through the process of making orange marmalade together, they become friends. And that trickles down into the entire prison. And it was actually really heartwarming.
I
mean, gosh.
I don't even want to watch it. I just want to listen to you tell the story more.
Yeah, exactly.
Kirk, you are a tale weaver, my friend. My goodness.
Paddington 2. Just
Yeah, no.
saying.
I'm glad I talked about a movie about like being a priest and politics and darkness, and Kirk could just lighten it up for us.
That's so good.
Speaking of like kids films, but which are also kind of adult films, do you guys?
We are so cool.
Too many dads in here. Can we? I gave a real answer.
Thanks for keeping us on track, Marsh. No,
This is why
Bev,
people
what you got?
Listen to this show. Do you guys know in the States? You know the films Wallace and Gromit? Is that like?
Yeah.
Are you aware?
absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
have you seen the recent one, the Vengeance Most Foul? Have you seen that? It just released at Christmas. It is very good.
No.
The penguin comes back, and like the
I know what
There's
I'm
this
doing
kind
when
of
we
like-
hang up this show, baby.
it's really well done and like very very funny, and it's all about this kind of like killer. It's kind of like killer robot AI kind of thing, which is it's just like it's meets the moment, but it's also very fun. I'm not sure if that was the one that emotionally hit me in the way that maybe
Got
some
it.
other things that I've watched. But
Got
it was definitely, it's been a highlight over the last few months for sure.
Wow,
I will add
that's awesome.
a kind of more serious response. Serious, I don't know. But I did see a show relatively recently called Katla on Netflix. It's Icelandic, very beautifully. It's kind of like, it's kind of sci-fi, kind of just real, but just very beautifully shot, as it, of course it is in Iceland. The music's lovely, and it's kind of, it's got some weird twists in there, which just make you kind of like, it kind of tugs at you in a kind of slightly weird way. It's well done. It's very Scandinavian. It's very Icelandic, but it's good. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Okay.
What's that one called?
Katla, Katla. It's based on the volcano erupting, and then the ash and the fallout of all of that kind of stuff. But then it's also the sci-fi element of basically people coming back to life who had died in various circumstances and kind of respawning, essentially, to use a video game kind of term.
Interesting.
Wow.
So it's kind of, I guess it might be based on some kind of folklore. There's so much of that kind of stuff in Norse mythology. So
Over there for sure, yeah.
Very cool. I have not watched anything cool. No, not anything cool.
I
love
your
The
Amazon
Office.
numbers. Ayo. Keep going.
Wow. Sheesh. No,
Hey, that was
hold
pretty
back.
good. That was good.
That was great.
Because those are cool, Michael.
I'm grateful.
Love you.
I love you back. I love The Office. I just finished it again. I don't know how many times I watched it through, but it's an easy one to just like digest over lunch when you want to just whatever. But no, I plan on digging into. I'm going to give 2 shows a shot at the same time, I think. But Apple TV has, and there's one that's been around for a while that I haven't, for whatever reason, just never really gave it a shot. And then there's a relatively new one that I want to check out. But Severance is something that I'm kind of interested in. I love the concept. I think it's pretty unique, and I love Adam Scott. I think he's brilliant. And Office, Parks and Rec, like I've been a fan of his for a long time. But also Silo, the new-ish kind of like sci-fi vibe, and I've heard even just the little tastes of stuff that I've dug into. The soundtrack is wildly done from what I've gleaned thus far, and I'm gonna dig into those. So
you haven't seen season 1 of Severance?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I felt like at some point I I was planning on it, and I just did not wind up pushing the button. But let's go. And now that season 2 is out, or at least it might be one of those serial like rolling out sort of things.
It's out, but there's a few out by now. There's got to be cool. 5 or 6 episodes probably out by now, which I haven't kept up on the second season yet, so I'm looking to dig into that as well. Yeah. Interesting. All the titles of these shows, I'm just going to preface, are going to get lost in a little bucket here, but there's also a show on Apple TV called Surface.
Severance.
But
Ted Lasso.
Surface is also on season 2. I don't think it's probably at the level I would say that like Severance is at, and season 1 of Silo, which I've watched, was incredible, I thought, as well. But Surface, it's worth a watch. Oliver scored season 1 and the theme, and I really do quite like the music for that series. And like the season 1 watch was good overall. I feel like the season 2 vibe I'm getting is kind of like the, I don't know, a little less production quality overall kind of vibe. But that's on the Apple TV, in the Apple TV realm, it's kind of cool to see a few, series like that worth checking out. So
yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
fun. We kind of ran the spectrum there. I like that.
I would love to just talk about movies for a while. We could just do that.
Well, I mean, I promise I'm not trying to connect the dots here just for the sake of doing it. But like, there is something, that is powerful and gripping about, especially when, certainly when a story is told well, when it's acted well, when it's captured visually well. But then like you add the score, you add just a really perfectly done, and not just, like an orchestral score, like whatever that score might be. And it can just take a moment in a movie from a wow to a just like knock your socks off. And I love that. I'm very compelled by that. And I think a part of that is gotta be what, lays influence to a lot of, the stuff that I create, that we create. And so there's, there very much is a tie to those two, and an appreciation of the media for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We'll have to start a side podcast, like just
checking
uneducated riff. Yeah, just I am in no way, shape, or place of any sort of caliber to comment on anybody's movie ever. But sure, let's talk about it. That sounds great. I'll give you my 2 cents. It's awesome. Yeah, you don't have to listen to me, but cool. It's great.
That would be very fun, actually. I would. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I started getting into instrumental music, just as a writer. Was I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't necessarily scoring anybody's stuff. So I would just make up little vignettes in my head, and then just write the music to it. You know, so it's kind of like scoring movies that were in my head, and this character comes here, and then they find this thing, and they get lost here, and then and it's like they battle an alien or whatever. It's like, and I would just play the scene in my head.
Yeah.
And that way I had something to kind of get me going and try to make a story with the sound. But so I think it'd be great for us to, either analyze some scores or talk about some of the emotions that it was creating. I think that'd be
for sure.
Be awesome.
I mean, it would be fun. Well, I mean, let's dig in a little right now. Like, let's get have some fun. Do you have a moment, or like, there's a moment of film where like something happened musically and it just like it just kind of takes your breath away, and you're just like, that's it. This is so incredible. I can think of several moments that are just beautiful, but I remember, and it was kind of a coming of age moment for me too. It was, I was like 17 or 18 years old, but when Gladiator was out in the theater, and of course, like the end scene where he's spoiler alert, it's 25 years old. So sorry, folks, but when he's about to lose his life, and you're kind of seeing like the spiritual side of him, the supernatural crossing over through that field of wheat, and the soundtrack with with Zimmer and with Lisa Gerard, singing, and it just, I'm sitting there like, and I'm 18. I'm like, why am I crying in this movie theater? Like, this is wild. This moment just could not be more powerful right now. I vividly remember that being just like a big time, like there's something very compelling happening right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
I just recently watched Gladiator 2.
How was that for you?
And it was higher. It was better than I expected it to be. I had pretty
Awesome.
low expectations going in, but it did have pretty decent reviews, if I remember correctly. I am one who kind of like, I take the reviews with a grain of salt, but I do use it as like a gauge, right? Like,
Sure.
but I had low expectations, but they did use like, I don't think they didn't use that piece specifically, but they had kind of like a reworked version of that
Mm-hmm.
piece of music from the original, which I thought, like, from what I remember, was like very tastefully done, and how they just kind of incorporated that into the new movie, like all these years later, was really cool.
Yeah.
Dudes, I just watched, I think I told you guys that I went and saw Interstellar at IMAX a couple months ago.
I wanted to do that, sad. I've tried.
But I mean, literally the second you said that, Mike, like, just, I mean, the film overall, like, does that to me just with the music, but specifically the scene where it's like right after you find out that Matt Damon's character is trying to, steal the ship kind of thing. And it's the scene where Matthew McConaughey, the ship is like spinning and they want to, I think the track is called Docking from the soundtrack, but do you guys know where I'm talking about? They're spinning around and they're trying to connect the two ships together, and it just starts with that. Yeah, she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Docking." After he says docking, the music is just like goes into it, and then it goes into the whole emotive that theme from the film when they're doing that. Dude, I mean, I cannot think of like a more perfect moment of like film and music for me. It's like, it's brutal, dude. It's so good.
Well, and you know how that whole score started?
Go on.
So the director is talking to Hans, and he hasn't decided. Like, he basically, I'm gonna botch the story now, but basically he gave him basically like a letter to, like, told him the story about about his son, like his relationship with his son, and all this kind of stuff, and didn't talk about any of the sci-fi stuff, and said, "Here's this letter, and here's this," and he had him compose this theme that was more about, I'm gonna mess it up now. Never mind. But he gave him a letter.
I'm like vaguely familiar.
We're all listening with bated breath, man. We're all whatever you tell us, we're gonna believe. So
he gave him like, didn't he give him just like one page of something, Kirk? I mean, I don't know quite the details, but he didn't give him like a full script or anything before he started working on the music. I feel like,
it's basically,
if I remember correctly, he gave him just a very brief idea, which, maybe like what you're talking about.
He's gone, and then he comes back, and his son is like, 30 years old, and he missed everything, and that was the kind of the idea of the movie. And so then he writes this theme, and he's like, okay, I guess now I need to make the movie. And that's when he launches into the sci-fi and all that kind of stuff. But it was just like that heart point. And that's for like, for me, one of the scenes that popped up for me was Interstellar, but it's the scene where he's saying goodbye and then getting in the car, driving away in the truck, and then it switches to the rocket, and it's just like that whole kind of liftoff thing. It was just like, yeah, that was one of them for sure.
I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but there's a film called Monsters, which John Hopkins scored, and it's like a real indie kind of film from, I guess, like, now we're probably talking 15 years ago. And so it's low budget, it's sci-fi. The creatures in there are, they are clearly CGI, but the way it's filmed is very like personal. It's just a couple of main characters. It's filmed in Central South America. And there's a kind of scene in the middle point. Basically, it's a kind of journey thing. They've escaped some stuff. There's a kind of a bit of a reflective kind of midpoint, and they go through. There's two main characters are in. I think it's like either the Day of the Dead or something like that. That it's filmed in I guess Mexico or somewhere in that area. But in the film, it's meant to represent something else. And the music at that point is essentially the theme, but it's the track Candles by John Hopkins. And I didn't know much. I knew his music a little bit before seeing the film, but that song, I was just like, oh my gosh, it just meets the moment in the film so incredibly. And not only that, it's just the most, in my mind, one of the absolute top kind of ambient tracks that exists. And it's just, just beautifully kind of represents the emotional state of that moment of the scene. And like, I haven't watched that film in quite a while now, but like every time I would see it, it's just like, oh yes, that is just so good. So yeah, as I said, I think I've recommended it before, but it is worth watching Monsters. Not only for it's a great film, it's a really interesting watch, but for the soundtrack, it's fantastic.
Wow, man. Are we all gonna like score a film together or something? I mean, guys, like
That'd be cool.
Dudes, wait, I gotta tell one more and then we can just keep talking about it. But I'm looking I feel like what you said just kind of made me think of, like, I do love when a track is not necessarily part of the score, but will kind of like show up in a film in a really big moment kind of thing. Did you guys listen to the Coldplay album Ghost Stories at all? It's not one of their...
Oh, are you about to play Midnight? I heard
Yes.
some music back there. So
I had to make sure that was the track. I'm not going to play it, but so it was
favorite song on that album for sure.
Easy. And I mean, like, for me, like, it's got to be, I would say, like in my top 3 Coldplay songs, probably. Yeah. But the film was, what was it? It's like the one about Noah, not like the dark one, but the one with Russell Crowe about not Noah, but the parting of the Red Seas kind of thing. God. Exodus. Thank you. Yeah. Is that what the movie was called?
I think so. Yeah.
That track, and I don't even know that it was in the movie, but that Coldplay track played over the trailer for Exodus. And to me, it was just a very like stunning contrast, because in the trailer you're seeing, the ocean is just like, everything's like parting or whatever scene it is, and it's just towering over everybody, and then it's just like Coldplay's Midnight track is playing over it, right? Like, yeah. And it's just like this, like, to me, that, and I've maybe seen that movie once or twice, like way back when, but it's amazing, right? When you have these certain moments that stick out like that. Like, to me, that trailer like lives in my mind as something that was just very impactful and very inspiring, just the way that was done. Yeah. So yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up probably. I'm gonna be up late tonight, you guys, because I got to go watch all these movies.
We are starting the laundry. Our family's traveling in a couple days. I've got some stuff I'm gonna download and queue up for my iPad, and while we're in air. Man, it is fascinating how, like, I barely even asked a question, all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, and I got this story. And I mean, I'm thinking of 5 more right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's such a powerful connection there. I wonder, and there's so many different ways we could go with that conversation, but like clearly there is an art to either scoring the right piece to match up with what's happening visually, or in those instances of like just finding the right song and being having the music supervisor find Marshall, you and I have talked about the Moneyball scene with with This Will Destroy You, however many times, and all that. They did such a great job with and that's just one of a bazillion examples. I think one of the things that I respect the most, and it maybe takes a little bit of theory, but I think it's more intuitive than music theory, is the idea of like being able to communicate certain emotions musically, like just how can I lend to what is happening in this scene? How can I lend what is happening at this point in the story? And I know that we are certainly moved by the stuff that we all make, but I wonder how often I ask proactively, like, what kind of mood I want to create, instead of sort of finding it along the way and be like, oh, this one's turning out really, kind of this, or let me keep nudging it in that direction. It's more of a like an ominous, or this one is really like there's a kind of breath of fresh air at the end, and I love that. I want to lean into that. I get there, but I wonder if I'm being more reactive in that, and the value of really kind of scribing the emotion as part, like one of the kind of the genesis pieces of a song even coming into existence in the first place, whether it's being written directly for film or not for, one of our projects, whether it's being streamed or licensed or whatever. But man, that is a really powerful tool in your tool belt to be able to communicate emotion musically that then, matches well with what's going on visually. There are many who do it, but there are few who like do it so well that you're just like, your jaw just drops. And
it takes a lot of, I think it does take a lot of, more than just being a talented musician, right? Because I'm a musician, I make music, but I play by ear for the most part. I don't have a lot of the theory side. So, if someone were to tell me, they want something to be really sad, or I'm thinking of a scene that is sad and I want it to be in kind of with a minor vibe or that sort of thing. This is stuff I hear Kirk talk about this kind of stuff all the time, where Kirk can just like talk about, I'm going to bring in, this, part of the chord or whatever, because then it's going to make it kind of do this. And when I hear that, I know exactly what he means, but I don't have the ability to articulate it the way that Kirk does. So I think when working with and that's, I think, like, right, there's a gift and a curse about that, because I know we've talked about before, like almost having the freedom to come outside, the limits and the rules that you don't know can create results that are different and inspiring than if someone were working within a set of a scale or a minor key or whatever.
Right.
I would be just curious, maybe if someone were to describe something very, how they wanted something to be set for me to score, like, what would I do with that? Because I don't have that immediate ability to just be like, okay, I can kind of get a general sense of where I want to start, right? It would probably take me a lot more experimenting.
Well, and directors don't talk like that. They don't talk in music theory.
True that.
So it's almost like you're saying, there's a benefit to where you might be on a similar wavelength with the director quicker, because you're both kind of just coming at it from, what does it sound like and what does it make me feel? And then, they call it lingua franca, common language, to where now you're both are kind of speaking the same language, because you're not necessarily coming from a theory. If you start talking about like saturation and color and greens and blues, and now all of a sudden he's the director's like firing on all cylinders, but you start talking about minor chords and, tension notes and all this kind of, now you're lost, So that could be beneficial to just be talking about emotions and colors and things like that. And then you know how to get there just following your ear, which is great.
Did any of you guys do, or have you ever done the, I just did the Spitfire audio. They did like a little scoring thing for one of their trailers. I don't know if you guys ever like see those, but every once in a while they'll have like a score a movie scene, and so they just did one for their Colossus library. And I was like, oh, what the heck? Like, I'll give it a go. I took of course, it took me longer than I thought it would, but yeah, kind of like a very good. I mean, I feel like having an exercise like that every couple months would be something that could be very beneficial, and it was such a different, such an experience for me, having this visual that I had to go to. And, you're taking bars and tempo and everything kind of out of the equation to like match up to what's happening visually. So not something I do a whole lot, but it was a lot of fun to do. And I'm quite proud of how it turned out, all things like considered, for me not doing a lot. So not doing that a lot. It was, it
and
was
then
fun.
you have it. I mean, if you could put it in a music library.
Yeah, if I ever had a reel or something.
or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great. It's
I
great
think that also
exercise.
speaks to just the value of challenging oneself musically in different styles.
Mm.
You know, even if there is no specific end goal, but maybe it is that you have multiple monikers that you write in multiple styles. I think there's so much value in that because you're just kind of exploring a different way of writing in each of them, in a different production style, using drums, using whatever it is. And it then impacts the other stuff in my experience in a very positive way, because it just brings a different freshness to the other styles. And it makes you even more uniquely you because of the different kind of musical lanes that you operate in, which all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah, stretching's a big deal. I think I know that I am personally very motivated by just a different set of stimuli. Like I love traveling. I love just seeing different parts of the world, different parts of the country, and I know that, and don't get me wrong, there is value to marinating in a certain field or a certain lane or a certain genre. Like I get that, but also just kind of resetting perspective and being able to flex and learn things in other spaces that then inform by way of practice or by way of just, how it all intertwines in our head and in our experience. You're always learning and always growing. And I think you're spot on, Ben. 100% agree. Just keep trying fun stuff and it will never make you less devoted to the main thing being the main thing, like each of our monikers that we love and adore. Like it's not as though that becomes decentralized or anything like that. It probably gets even more strengthened because of being able to see some of the contrasting pieces between the two. But yeah, I love stretching, love changing it up, and then gives you a new perspective on all the other stuff. It's great. Man, we should maybe we should do a little like film scoring challenge, just the four of us, some random little like 60-second clip of something, and we each come at it with our own little thing, and that could be
That'd
fun.
be cool.
I don't know.
Could do it for the next
Time limit
Summer
though, Marshall. I'm going to hold you to a time limit. You don't get more than 2 hours or something or whatever.
All right.
That would be super
All
cool
right.
though to do, and we could do it on a video thing. Like, here's the 60 seconds,
Yeah.
2 hours, go for it, and see what we come up
Yeah.
with. There'd be value in that, even if it's just for ourselves.
Challenge accepted.
They're all just ambient pads. We come-
Yeah, press the drone. It's there.
Yeah.
It's just turns out it's all
Contrast,
just
I
simple.
think, you're just gonna just
The scene is just a
stacking.
60-second slow flyover of a mountain.
Turns out this is the new
That's it.
Soma Sova
Yeah.
EP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Wait, speaking of that though, guys, I would love to do another Soma Sova project before summer break. If you guys are, I know that's coming up quickly, but it's going to be a lot more crazy with like trying to make music and having
Sure.
my kids all running around. So
I'm
maybe
sure
on
we
like
could
the
figure
tail
that
end
out.
before school gets out, maybe we could try. And even if we did write like 4 tracks would be cool. But if we only had to do a couple tracks kind of thing, we could do that too.
Kirk, when do your kids get out of school?
They're never in school because we do homeschool.
Right, you guys are
So it's
homeschool.
like never ending. Summer is not, yeah. Summer
Got
just
it.
means less
Yeah.
organization. and
Are you
all
guys
more
still-
chaos.
Are you still talking about renting an RV and peacing out for a while? Is that still a
Well,
thing?
we are actually going to Europe for July.
Whoa!
Yes, it's crazy.
Yes.
We have
that's
some
awesome.
friends from Germany that came over here and spent some
Yeah.
time with us, and so now it's our turn to go over there. But we're gonna meet them in the Netherlands. But we're actually gonna do a week in Iceland.
Nice.
What?
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Yes!
And so we're doing an
It's
RV.
happening.
We're doing an RV in Iceland for 7 days.
What?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So when you were talking about that movie, I was like, okay, I need to watch that. But
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, so
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, it's probably gonna be a nightmare because it's gonna be like driving to campsites, and we're gonna be jet lagged, and but it's also gonna be
it's going to be
incredibly
wild.
beautiful.
It'll be-
That's
yeah.
so great.
So I'm excited.
So great.
We're hoping to go. I want to go to the Yanzi. Like he has a fragrance. His old studio, they turned it into like a fragrance and sound museum or
Cool.
something like that.
Cool.
Oh,
So I want to. That's on my list.
There's I forget what studio it is, but Tiffany Housekeys. Tiffany Costello's been over there a couple times to record a few different albums over there, and has just kind of made like an event, as rightfully so by all means, but has really kind of made that kind of a pilgrimage of sorts, and so cool. I love that. Wow, Kirk, that's a big deal, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, we're excited, and I'm slightly, like just the logistics of it all is.
Yeah,
that'll
Kids
be
coming
part of
too?
my project. Oh yeah, dude. Like it's
the whole crew.
Yeah. We'll get like a
Wow.
Sleep 5 RV type thing, and
Amazing.
so we're gonna try it out. And if we like just the logistics of RV stuff, then we might try a more domestic thing around the States and try to do some of the parks and stuff like that.
Wow, love it.
Nice.
Camping is hard.
Well, we kind of took a left-hand turn there, but that
Sorry.
was like the best. No, oh man, no,
No,
you don't have
dude.
to apologize.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could probably try to figure out something for May. I think late April.
Yeah, I mean, we don't leave till July, first week of July, and then school officially ends like August,
Cool. It's great.
early August, late May. We can make it happen.
Yeah.
It's only 4 hours, right? We could
That's right.
find time.
5 for us.
I mean,
It's definitely only 4 hours.
We
That's
could
the
do
thing.
it.
That's the key thing here.
That's right.
okay, so this is it's happening more and more frequently, and I'm in the best possible way where I have like a kind of a subject matter going into the roundtable, and then we just happen to like find our own again, like literally just the most beautiful, like we're just friends connecting on the stuff that we're passionate about. And so we just talked film scoring and how we're all moved by all that for as long as we have. We're not introducing a new subject. We'll save that one for next time, because this is really meaningful, I think, and we'll just hang our hat on it. And I love all of your perspectives and all that. But yeah, seriously, just always a joy connecting with you guys and your perspective, your insight, the way that you allow yourself to be moved by the experience that we all call life together is just a really sweet thing, and glad to be here together by all means.
For sure.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks again for joining us on the All Ambient podcast. This is about as shameless of a plug as it gets, but it really does help for those of you who are watching to give us a rating if you're on any podcast platform like Apple or Spotify or anything like that. On YouTube, we would love a follow, a subscribe, a like, all that fun stuff. And please leave a comment, a review, whatever is applicable to the right place that you're finding this. It really does go a long way. You don't have to make anything up by any means, but if there's some value in this podcast for you, we'd love to hear about it. We, as the All Ambient family, would love to meet you. I know it does my heart good, as well as everybody else who's involved at All Ambient. So please do so. Come back and join us next week. We got another great episode coming your way. And until then, here's hoping that this music and the hearts behind it make your day and your life that much better. Thanks.